Oh, Lori, you are very early. Nice to see you.
I'm muted, so you didn't hear me.
Now
So
yeah.
I've got my reading.
Okay.
You'll just cue me, or is there anything else I need to know?
No.
Okay.
Let me tell you where you are. I think you're the first reading, actually, after
Yeah,
Matot.
that's what Donna said. Yeah.
Yeah. So then you can just sit back and relax.
Okay, great. I'll put myself back on mute.
Okay. Shabbat Shalom. You can unmute if you choose.
We just did.
Yay.
Shalom, everyone. Great to
Hi.
see you
Hi,
all.
Lori. Hi, Donna.
Hi, Sue.
I'm temporarily going to go dark.
Okay.
Shabbat Shalom, Claudia.
Shabbat shalom. I'll mute now.
So I think everyone on the screen now knows what to do, right? You know how to find gallery view and speaker view. And there's Henry. Henry, I have a question for you. So I think it's appropriate to do Adon Olam to Ripple today. Does that work? Yeah, I see some smiles. That's good. You can unmute. It's okay for now. I can't hear you.
All right, got it now. Okay, so why today? Just because it's the Havurah thing?
Yeah.
Okay, if ever it's okay with everybody, then it's okay with me. Thank you.
So do me a favor, Henry. You need
Yeah.
to tilt your screen a little because we see I got your nose.
Well, that's my most prominent feature.
Yeah.
Is
Henry,
that better?
why does your name say Leon?
You know, that happened to me. Lori mentioned that the last time. My brother-in-law must have used my computer way back when. I don't know how to change it. So I'll have to figure that out. Is there a way to do that? Anybody know?
You
I'm sorry,
Yeah,
Kim,
you
what?
sign in. You just need to sign in with a new username, new
Okay,
password.
got it, got it.
Barbara, this is Sue. I know that you sent me the reading. I know I've read the reading. Do you remember what you called it when you sent the reading or the subject line is or anything?
Donna sent it to you,
Donna?
not me. So maybe that'll help you.
Okay. Let me see if I can
It's
find
called the Seven of Pentacles.
it. Okay, let me see if I can find it because I can't find it in my mail, but I might have put it in my HPT folder. One
You
second.
want me to resend it to you?
That would be awesome.
Okay.
Thank you.
Right. And Ruth, did you, you learn both those Torah readings? If Susan happens to show up? But, thank you.
Okay.
You're a spiritual hero. So this, we're gonna start calling this taluses and tea. You can wear your talus, but you can also bring your tea. And your toes. You don't need to wear shoes, you know,
Excuse me.
talus, tea and toes.
We're all in slippers.
It's good. All right, a couple more minutes.
So the only sitter I have in this house is this little sitter that was given to me for my bar mitzvah many years ago, if you could believe that.
And the
I have one
medication you need to read that is probably not available, right?
Right, right. But I'll muddle through.
That's good. Well, that's good. So everybody here is, yeah,
So,
comfortable with, hi Debbie, glad you're reading today. Everybody knows about muting and unmuting, where to do that.
Donna, have you sent it? Because I'm not seeing it.
And you know, you can pick in the top corner, you can pick gallery view or you can pick speaker view. If you pick speaker view, whoever is speaking at the moment will be the biggest person. If you simply want to see everyone's faces, you can still hear the person speaking, but be on gallery view. So that's another choice. The more I do this, the more I'm learning the secrets of Zoom. I'm sure some of you are way advanced. There's Marie, there's Jean.
Do you
And-
know, Barbara, that apparently, according to Anna, you can sing on Zoom? And there's a tutorial. I'll send it to you for the next time. I just got that this morning.
Well, send it to me, because no one I know knows that. I know there's some, I know on Macs, you can change, you can do an advanced audio.
Yeah. There's something called original sound on Zoom that you can do. I'll send you the link.
If you go, you might try it. Go where your mic is, and next to the mic is an arrow. And click on that arrow, and you'll get to advanced settings.
Mike.
And there should be a list, and it doesn't work. I know it doesn't work on my laptop, but
Anyway.
Sue, I just sent it to you.
all right, Sue got it. Hello, Madeline. Shabbat shalom. Lenny, so good to see you. Anne, I'm glad you're there. You found your way here. So Shabbat shalom, everybody. I'm going to start with a couple of instructions. So we'll start on time. That's sort of what we're doing now. I found that in the different meetings I've been doing on Zoom, people are at different places and how often they've used it. And some basic rubrics are, for the most part, make sure that that you see that your microphone has a red line through it. That means you're muted. You can sing as loud as you want. If you never used to sing in shul, you can sing whatever volume you want here, because the feeling of singing is what counts, and we won't hear you unless you unmute, and then we're going to hear you. So that could be a problem. Especially when everyone has different internet speeds, it makes it hard for us to sing out loud where we can all hear each other. But there will be points where I'm going to unmute you or ask you to unmute so that we can read together. Things like Kaddish. Also, I just said you have a choice between gallery view. If you look in the corner, if you have gallery view, Right now, there's about 18 different boxes on my screen. 18? No, I counted wrong. 17. Yeah. And if you want to just see the speaker view, whoever's speaking is very big. And you might want that when there is someone doing a reading or a Torah reading, or when Claudia is speaking, certainly you'll want to be on speaker view. So you can practice with that for a little bit. Take a minute. Is there anyone who has a question about Zoom or how this works? No. All right. Well, Shabbat Shalom. I'm so thrilled to see your faces. I have missed your faces, and I still miss being in the same room with you. This is the next best thing, as we all know, because we can't all take walks together. This is a really special Shabbat. We've been planning it for a long time. It's the second in our series of anniversary Shabbatot. 2 weeks ago, we celebrated the Jewish Multiracial Network for the many families and individuals in multiracial families. Oh, no. Oh, there we go. Thank you, Emily Engler, who's our tech. Today, we're celebrating the Havurah, and you can see the faces of people at an earlier age. And Claudia is going to talk about the history of the Havurah, but I believe Donna made these beautiful posters, and most of them are from the 1990s. So look for yourself, look for your friends, look for the children who are now grown, and take pleasure in the fact that you, the Havurah, the members, the families who were bold enough and passionate enough to come together, ensured the future of this synagogue. We would not be here, I certainly would not be here, if it weren't for the Havurah breathing new life into an aging population. So thank you to all of you. Thank you to the participants today. You know who you are. I'll call on you if you have a reading or Torah or Haftorah or you're speaking. And I'll let you know that this is not a full service. If you have your own Siddur or you know prayers by heart, obviously you can daven in whatever way you choose in your home. And you might want to especially use that for the Amidah, because I'm going to be giving a guided meditation for the Amidah. But as you can see, we're going to have on the screen the pages of the Siddur and the readings and the Torah and Haftorah readings so that you can follow along. And one other trick about Zoom is when you have the page shared, you probably see a line of people. You can actually change that line. You can go up and down and sideways and see different people. You don't have to look at the same 5 people all the time while we're on screen sharing. So at this point, I'm going to begin by inviting you into our holy space. You can imagine yourself here in the chapel, or find the presence of holiness in the space that you're in, transform it into your own synagogue. And what I ask is your presence. That's what we're looking for on a Shabbat morning, is to be present to one another, to be present to the connections that underlie all of existence and connect us all in our separateness. If for some reason you choose to step away or you want to do something that you'd rather not be seen doing, feel free to mute your video, to turn off your video and come back when you're ready. Welcome now to the Havurah Anniversary Shabbat experience, and we'll begin with Ma Tovu. How good it is for us to be together. Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov mishkenotecha Yisrael. Ma tovu ohalecha Mishkanotecha Yisrael. Our first reading on the theme of community, which is community makes us stronger, is a teaching from the Talmud, and Lori Rotman will be reading it for us.
One of the sages observed a man taking stones out of his own field and dumping them on public land. The sage asked, "Why are you taking stones from property that isn't yours and putting them on land that does belong to you?" The man didn't understand the sage's admonition and said, laughing, "Fool, it's just the other way around." Not long afterward, the man had to sell his field. As he walked through the area where he had earlier thrown the stones, he stumbled over those same stones. Only then he understood the sage's words. I am the fool after all, since that property no longer belongs to me and only the public domain remains mine to use. From Talmud Baba Kama.
Thank you, Lori. I'm going to turn to Baruch She'amar. I didn't see Raphael on screen, but Raphael, if you're with us, I'd love to have you lead Baruch She'amar. So if Raphael comes in the middle, he can join in. I'm going to start. Baruch She'amar v'hayaolam, Baruch Hu, Baruch Oseh Bereshit, Baruch Shemo, Baruch Omer v'oseh, Baruch Gozer u'mekayem, Baruch Shemo, Baruch Merachem al haaretz, Baruch Hu, Baruch Merachem al habriot, Baruch Shemo, Baruch Mishalem Sachar Tov L'Reav, Baruch Hu, Baruch Ma'avir Fela u'Mevi Ora, Baruch Shemo, Baruch Halad v'Kayam LaNetzach, Baruch Hu, Baruch Poda u'Matzil, Baruch Hu u'Baruch Shemo. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech Yachid Ha'olamim, melech Meshubach u'Paradei ad Shmo Gadol. Baruch atah Adonai melech Mulal Batishbachot. So I was thinking about Baruch She'amar. I always think about it when I walk over to the temple, and usually I see the daffodils and I see the forsythia coming into bloom, but I've been noticing the birds a lot. I've been noticing in the quiet that has surrounded us more and more that the birds are free to sing. And yesterday I was walking over in the rain, and it struck me that the birds don't stop singing when it's raining. There's something remarkable about the possibility of finding joy and finding song, even when the clouds are above us and when we are inside away from the chill of the day, that we can keep on singing. So with that, I'm going to invite us to turn to Psalm 150 so that we can sing joyously together and really find on this Shabbat, this anniversary, find an image or find a memory that reminds you that even in our darkness, there's something to sing about. Hallelujah, 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 El Bethkocho, hallelujah, Birkiyahu zo, hallelujah, Vigvorotav, hallelujah, Kerov Godlo, hallelujah, 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 V'teka shofar, hallelujah, v'never v'chinor, hallelujah, v'tofu machor, hallelujah, v'minim v'udav, hallelujah, 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 v'tziltzalei shama, hallelujah, v'tziltzalei truah, hallelujah, v'tziltzalei shama, hallelujah, v'tziltzalei truah, hallelujah, 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 kol haneshama techalaya, hallelujah, hallelujah, kol haneshama techalaya, hallelujah, hallelujah. One last time, hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Sam Schneiderman is going to be giving us reading number 2.
Discovery by Ruth Bryn. No one ever told me the coming of the Messiah.
Hey, Sam.
Hello?
Sam. I
Yes.
think that's Marie's reading. Sorry. Right?
This is the one that I got, and this is the only one I have in my hand.
I thought you were doing Henry David Thoreau. All right.
I'll be glad to read it. It's on the screen. I can read it.
Thank you. Would you please?
Barbara, I have
Thank you for enlarging.
Barbara,
Yes.
Barbara, I have Henry David Thoreau.
You do.
Yeah.
Then I'm mixed up. And Sam, we're gonna ask Marie to read this one. Because that's hers, and you'll read yours later.
Works for me.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
All right.
Two sturdy oaks, which side by side withstand the winter's storm, and spite of wind and tide, grow up the meadow's pride, for both are strong. Above they barely touch, but undermined.
Oh, we lost Marie. Undermined. She was undermined by the internet.
No.
All right. Take your time.
I don't think I can finish.
Above they barely touch, but undermined down to their deepest source. Admiring you shall find their roots are intertwined inseparably. Marie, thank you so much.
Sorry.
One never knows how these readings are going to move us. Henry David Thoreau would be appreciative. Yes, we are intertwined. Let's go to a reading that reminds us that no matter what we think of these dull days, no matter how tedious it may be, or you may forget what day it is, you may wonder when it's ever going to end, there's this teaching that we have in the Hebrew, HaMachadesh B'tuvo B'chol Yom Tamid Ma'aseh V'Reshit, that God renews every day the works of creation. Every day is a new possibility. So let's, if you like, unmute and read in the English below the line. Every day,
Creation
is renewed.
renewed.
Wake up
And
and see unfold
unfolding
in the spreading light of
dawn.
the world and all
and
that
all
contains, coming into
being
new, fresh, filled with divine goodness and love.
divine goodness and
Every
love.
day, creation is renewed
Renewed,
in green light.
great light.
great
Light.
light.
See a new day,
New day.
One
one
precious
precious
day,
day,
eternity.
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 Chadash al Zion Ta'ir, v'nizkapu lanu v'ne'alenu. Or Chadash al Zion Ta'ir, v'nizkapu lanu v'ne'alenu. Baruch atah Adonai, yotzer ha'me'orot. Baruch atah Adonai, Elohim amo Yisrael.
Yeah.
Shema Yisrael.
Adonai Elohim.
Adonai
Echad.
And if you'd all mute once again. Ve'ahavta et
Adonai
Elohecha
בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך, ושיננתם לפניך,
ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. So we're about to enter into the Amidah, which will be a time for guided meditation or your own davening. Of course, we'll sing Mi Chamocha beforehand. We need that Mi Chamocha. You know, Pesach is coming. We need Pesach. Why do we need Mi Chamocha? Why do we need Pesach? We need it to remind us that there is always another side to the sea, that there is always a way out, that there is always going to be a time when we arise together and we can sing again together. That oppression ends, that loneliness and isolation ends, and we can lift up our timbrels and sing. And so with that notion of the possibilities of which we are still unaware, we can open ourselves to uncertainty. We can open ourselves to the idea that something better is available even now in this moment, with a poem by Ruth Bryn. And I know that Sam Schneiderman is prepared to read that for us.
Discovery by Ruth Bryn. No one ever told me the coming of the Messiah could be an inward thing. No one ever told me a change of heart might be as quiet as new fallen snow. No one ever told me that redemption was as simple as springtime and as wonderful as birds returning after a long winter. Rose-breasted grosbeaks singing in the swaying branches of a newly budded tree. No one ever told me that salvation might be like a fresh spring wind blowing away the dried, withered leaves of another year, carrying the scent of flowers, the promise of fruition. What I found for myself, I try to tell you. Redemption and salvation are very near, and the taste of them is in the world that God created and laid before us.
you, Sam. We're all on mute again. To Mi Chamocha. Mi Chamocha Ba'elim Adonai. Mi Chamocha Nedar B'Kodesh. Nora Tehilot Osef Eleh. Shira Chadasha Shibchu Gehulim L'Shimcha Aspat Hayam. Yachad Kulam Odu V'him Lichu V'Amaru Adonai Yimloch Le'olam Ba'ed. Tzur Yisrael Kuma Be'ezrat Yisrael Ufedechinu Mecha Yehuda veYisrael. Go Aleinu Adonai Tzvaot Shemo Kadosh Yisrael. Baruch Atah Adonai Ga'al Yisrael. So if everyone is on mute, if you'd like to daven on your own, feel free. If you'd like to find a seated or lying down space, a comfortable space for meditation, I encourage you to sit, to feel the earth under your feet, to feel the chair that holds you, to notice what it feels like to relax. What does it feel like to relax your shoulders, your torso, your legs, your feet? Feel your neck loosen and your head gently fall where it falls. As you feel your breath rising and feel the inhale filling your chest, and then the exhale as your chest goes in again. Feel the expanse and the letting go, not pushing your breath, simply noticing it. Coming home to this moment, recognizing we are alive, and that is good. Let's take a moment to receive what is here. I invite you to take a conscious breath and just feel. Whatever feeling feels like to you. Breathing in, breathing out. Feeling sensations, warmth, coolness, tingling, pulsing, vibration. Hearing sounds as they arise and pass. Even with your eyes closed, seeing colors and shapes. Our benevolent awareness is blessing each moment, receiving each moment just as it is, like a clear mirror. We rest in the light that is within us, within each other. In this moment, feeling beautiful, just for a moment, setting critique, judgment, comparing aside. Practicing blessing just what is right now. In a world, in a mind of frantic striving to know, make, and have, just to be, to attend, to wait, to receive in stillness is healing, is loving, is freeing, is sacred. In our world, in our mind, stillness is radical. Stillness is wild. Breathing in, breathing out, saying to ourselves, I am alive, alive, in good company, safe, happy, peaceful, at ease, blessing what is right now. I relax. Breathing in, I am alive. Breathing out, I am blessed. I soften. I receive this moment as it is. We are blessing and being blessed. If you'd like to take another few moments quiet, and I'll begin singing in just after a little bit more of silence. Ose shalom imromav, uyase shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru Amen. Ose shalom bimromav, uyase shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru Amen. And la 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 la, and la 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 la, la 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 la. Ose shalom imromav, uyase shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru Amen. If you're not already standing, this would be a good time. For you to stand. I'm going to open the ark as we sing Pitchu Li, and I won't be taking the Torah out. We'll be in its presence. Pitchu li sha'arei tzedek, avavam odaya. Pitchu li sha'arei tzedek, avavam odaya. Zeh asher lo Adonai tzadikim yavovu. Zeh asher lo Adonai tzadikim yavovu. You can take your seats. I was just reminded, looking at that Torah cover, which was donated by the children of Libby and Joe Robinson, who we remembered Libby, who passed about a month ago, and how they created this sense of welcome that continues on in our congregation. The Havurah picked it up and understood how important it was to greet every person with a smile and to welcome them as if it is their own home. And we continue that today. Our Torah reading this week is Tzav. It's the second Torah reading in Vayikra, in the book of Leviticus. And there is a verse in the reading that speaks to me, particularly in our time. I have suddenly realized that the Levi'im, the Levites, the Kohanim, and the Levi'im were the essential workers of their day. The Kohanim got all the glory. They were like the doctors who came in and they made things happen. But the Levi'im, the Levites, were the ones who made sure that everything was prepared for the Kohanim to do their work. And many of our essential workers are heroes we see and we acknowledge and we appreciate. And then there are all the invisible Levi'im in our midst, the people who make sure that the doctors get to work, and the nurses and all the healthcare workers, and the people who clean, and the people who pick up the garbage. All of the people who keep things going. And the verse that speaks to me that's in the very first reading is the very last verse that we'll read in that reading. Eish tamid tukad al hamizbeach lo tichbeh. The main job of these essential workers was to keep the fire burning on the altar and not to let it go out. That's in a way what we're all doing here today. We're making sure that that fire keeps burning, that it warms us, that it provides for us, that it nurtures us. It brings us together as the people came together in the temple courts so that they knew that they were taken care of spiritually as well as physically. And to make sure that it never went out was probably a very big and important job that they never got recognized for. Originally, we had ideas for aliyot to honor the founders of the Havurah, to honor the founders of the Chaverim school, to honor those kids who grew up in the Havurah, to honor people who were drawn to the Havurah, many of them by the one and only Madeline Brunitsky, who was the best connector I ever met, who could bring anyone in and let them know that they were welcome and they had a place. We're not going to have those aliyot. We do have 3 readers, and we're going to begin, and you can follow along, with Debbie Rosenblatt with the first reading.
Amen. וידבר אדוני אל משה לאמור, צב את אהרון ואת בניו לאמור, זאת תורת העולה, כי העולה על מוקדה על המזבח כל הלילה עד הבוקר, ואש המזבח תוקד בו. ולבש הכהן מידו בד, ומכנסי בד ילבש על בשרו. והרים את הדשן אשר תאכל האש את העולה על המזבח, ושמו אצל המזבח, ופשט את בגדיו, ולבש בגדים אחרים, והוציא את הדשן אל מחוץ למחנה, אל מקום טהור. והאש על המזבח תוקד בו, לא תכבה. וביער עליה הכהן עצים בבוקר, וירח עליה העולה, והקטיר עליה חלבי השלמים. אש תמיד תוקד על המזבח, לא תכבה.
Amen. Shkoch. And our second reading, if Susan is available, then Susan will read. And if Susan's not available, because she's also an essential worker, then Ruth is going to read.
Debbie Adams, were you reading the second one?
That was Debbie Rosenblatt. Ruth, are you doing 2 and 3?
I can't find my picture.
studied 1 and 3, but I'll read it.
If you want, I'll do 2. I seem to have gotten a number of things confused this morning.
Is it unmuted?
Want me
I
to-
think I was confused.
So I can do 2 and you can do 3.
Okay, you do 2.
Okay. וזאת תורת המנחה הקרבותה בני אהרון לפני אדוני על פני המזבח והרימים לנו בקומצו מסולת המנחה ומשמנה ואת כל הלבנה אשר על המנחה והקטיר המזבח ריח ניחוח אזכרתה לאדוני ונותרת ממנה יאכלו אהרון ובניו מצות תאכל במקום קדוש בחצרו המועד יאכלוה לא תהפך חמץ חלקם נתתי אותה מאישי קודש קודשים היא כחטאת וכאשם כל זכר בבני אהרון יאכלנה חוק עולם לדורותיכם מאישי אדוני כל אשר ייגע בהם יקדש. And now Ruth.
וידבר אדוני אל משה לאמור, זה קרבן אהרון ובניו אשר יקרביו לאדוני ביום הימסך אותו עשירית האפה צולת מנחת תמיד מחציתה בבוקר ומחציתה בערב על מחבת בשמן תעשה מורדכת תביאנה תופיני מנחת פיתים תקריב ריח ניחוח לאדוני והכהן המשיח תחתיו מבניו יעשה אותה כקולם לאדוני כליל תקטר בחום מנחת הכהן כליל תהיה לא תאכל.
Let's take a moment and go back to gallery view so that we can offer a prayer for healing. And as I said, I'm learning new things. I'm going to invite you to say names all at once for the Mishaberach. I'm going to offer a prayer for healing and invite people to think of anyone you know who's in need of healing. And if you choose, another way to do it would be to write the name in the chat. And then we can see those names. So that's another option. I'll begin with the blessing and the names of people who I'm aware of in our community. May the one who blessed our ancestors bless and heal all who are ill. Dini Yocheved Batsama, Emily Stoller, Ashley Adams, Tzipora Yochana Bat Sarah, Ilana Bat Rachel, Daniel Guzman, Chayafega Bat Shoshana, Serena Shapiro, Elka Bat Shendel, Gili Bat Esther, Masha Yocheved Chaya Bat Savia, Nomi Betzalel Bat Chana Rezel, Rachel Bat Malka, Tivona Bat Sarah, Aliza Bat Yehudit, Levana Ronit Bat Sarah, Yocheved Basya Bat Sarah, Avram Ben Rachel Ephraim, Adam Ben Sarah, Rabbi Jessica Velasco, Yitzchak Ben Bluma, Yafa Leah Bat Chana, Phyllis Kaufman, Yosef Leah Bat Chana, Bela, Allison Oatman, O.J. Lansana, Shalom Ben Yehudit, Larry Coben, Aharon Ben Bracha Yosef, Claire Hertz, Lucille Haskell, Arav Reuben, Shlomo Ben Leah, Mendel, Dalit Bat Chassia, Janine Gagliardi, Jim Ireland, Judy Schulman, Leah Kochava, Bat Chana David, Diane Garner, Anthony Di Nicola, Caleb Ben Tova, Ben Sion Ben Penina, Fredel Bat Malka, Megan Clark Scar, Moshe Nachum Ben Hanaliba, Betty McClure. I'll add Nina Callan and Ben Albert, who we know have been tested positive for COVID.
I am in Sarah. Connie Boy died and his son wrote me.
Just say it at once, everybody. It's okay. And we'll include all those who are suffering from this illness, particularly those who are in hospitals and on ventilators. We pray for their complete healing. HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yimalei Rachamim Aleichem L'Achlimam L'Rabotam L'Achzikam L'Yachyotam. May the Holy One pour out divine compassion on our world and embrace all who are ill with healing, with full recovery. Give them strength and promise them long life. V'yishlach lahem b'mheira refuah shlema min hashamayim, refuat hanefesh v'refuat haguf, and speedily send complete healing, healing of body and of spirit. Hashta b'glav zman kariv v'nomar Amen. And to our prayer for healing, before we go to the Haftarah, which will be next, I want to add this additional prayer by Alden Solovey. Source of mercy, watch over the medical professionals, doctors, nurses, and all healthcare workers on the front lines of the pandemic as they tend to the sick, putting themselves in harm's way to care for us. Protect them from illness, shield them from trauma, guard them from all harm. Bless their limbs with strength, their eyes with courage, their hands with gentleness, for they are a source of hope and love. May their deeds find favor in heaven and bring healing here on earth. Rock of love, watch over those who are caring for the vulnerable, the disabled, infirm, chronically ill, and elders, and those who are called upon to serve the public in new ways, all who cannot protect themselves with self-isolation. Among them, police, fire, ambulance, and sanitation, as well as those providing for our basic needs, workers in grocery stores, pharmacies, and other essential services. All who are doing your work with love, putting them at additional risk in service to humankind. God of healing, extend your tabernacle of health and peace to all in need. Bring a speedy end to this pandemic and all disease and suffering, so that we may know your compassion and your grace. Let deliverance rise up from heaven. Let joy and celebration resound from the four corners of the earth. And may peace at long last reign on earth. And we say, Amen. Now we're going to turn to Susanna, because this is not only the Shabbat where we read Tzav, but it is a special Shabbat before Pesach called Shabbat Hagadol, which comes from this particular special Haftarah that Susanna's going to be chanting.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Just want to say a couple words about this Haftarah. As we've all come to know, the more we delve into the Torah and Haftarah readings in a particular time, we find new things that pop out and speak to us. And I just want to emphasize the very last paragraph, a few phrases or sentences that or psukim that I'm going to chant at the end of this Haftarah that talks about the great and awesome day when Eliyahu will come, and that will announce the days when we will all live in peace and harmony and security, and that will include especially the reconciling of parents with their children and children with their parents. And of course, as we approach this great awesome day, and we are at Shabbat Hagadol, the great Shabbat, we know that we're supposed to be opening our doors to Eliyahu at our Seder, and I've heard quite a number of rabbis speaking on various programs talking about what are we going to do when we open the door, because we can't even really let our own families enter physically. So I wanted to also share that when I was interacting with some colleagues this week about the fact that the Zoom app and program has a lot of security challenges, people were starting to get very worried about who is going to enter their Zooms. So I was emailing with my friend Boris Katz at MIT, who was sending me all these warnings about the insecurity of Zoom. And I emailed back to him because he usually comes to our Seder, and I said, Boris, we shouldn't be worried about the Zoom on our Seder that we're probably going to all be using to have group Seders, because our doors are open for the Seder. So with that in mind, for the security issues on Zoom, on Pesach and our Seder, we're going to indeed be able to open the door to Eliyahu via our Zoom and let anyone who wants to see what we're doing on Pesach indeed enter. The second piece is about the children and parents, and this is a midrash within my family from this morning. As many of you know, our daughter Anna lives in Israel. Our daughter Naomi is here, about to go into ICU duty at Mass General. And of course, they won't be here with us physically at our Seder. But those of us who grew up in the baby boomer age and are all here today with us in this wonderful Havurah reunion have spent decades being chastised or being helicopter parents, always worried about our children. And now we're in a situation where we have our helicopter children. And so I was talking to Anna this morning. She was in Tel Aviv, and she was with us for a little bit at the beginning of the service. And I said, I hope that when Eliyahu comes, that will be the time when we will all be together, and parents and children will be able to be in the same household and very close together and hug each other again. And she said, Mom, I see it really differently. I see this as, our children are coming to their parents now, because this whole crisis has drawn parents and children much closer than they've been in a long time, or maybe ever, as children indeed are turning towards their parents in this crisis. So those are two midrashim about children and parents, and this wonderful last phrase. And with that, I will chant. I'm going to do a number of verses 4 through 12, and I'm going to skip to 19. And I don't think I'll do the brachot, but you can do them in your head, because everybody probably knows those almost by heart. Va'ava l'Adonai minchad Yehuda Yerushalayim ki me'olam uchashanim kadmoniyot ve'karavti alechem lamishpat v'haiti a'ed memaher b'mchashvim uv'amnafim uvanishbaim lashaker uvashke shechar sechir almana ve'atom mateger velo yareuni amar Adonai tzvaot ki ani Adonai lo shai Niti vatem b'nei Yaakov lo chlitam Laminei avotechem sartam echukai velo shmartam shuvu elai v'ashuva alechem amar Adonai tzevaot v'amartam b'amen ashuv Vayikbadam Elohim ki atem kovim oti v'amartem b'ameh kvanucha b'maaser hatrumaha b'me'era atem narim v'oti atem kovim hagoy kulo Haviu את כל המסע בעת האוצר, ויהי טרף בביתי, ובחנוני נא בזאת, אמר אדוני צבאות, אם לא אבטח לכם את ארובות השמיים, והריקותי לכם ברכה עד בלי די. וגרתי לכם באוכל, ולא ישחית לכם את פרי האדמה, ולא תשקל לכם הגפן בשדה, אמר אדוני צבאות. ואישרו אתכם כל הגויים, כי תהיו אתם ארץ חפץ, אמר אדוני צבאות. Now I'm going to verse 19, and I'll repeat the Hagadol sentence twice, which is how it is in this Haftarah. Ki hine hayom baha bo'er katanur, v'hayu kol zedim, v'chol oseh risha kahash, v'lihato tam hayom haba, amar Adonai tzvaot, asher lo ya'azov lahem shoresh va'anav, v'zarcha lachem yiruhu shemi shemesh tzedakah, umarpei bichnafeha vitzatem ufishtem ke'eglei marbeg, va'asotem rishayim ki yu efer tachat kapot raglechem bayom asher ani oseh amar Adonai tzvaot. Zichru Torat Moshe Avdi asher tziviti otaho b'choreb al kol Yisrael chukim umishpatim. Hine anochi sholeach lachem et Elia hanavi lifnei bo yom Adonai hagadol v'hanorah, v'heshiv lev avot al banim, v'lev banim al avotam, pen avo v'hiketi et haaretz cherem. Hine anochi sholeach lachem et Elia hanavi lifnei bo yom Adonai hagadol v'hanorah.
Yishar kochech. Thank you, Susanna. I love that last verse. I didn't bold the part that says that God will prevent utter destruction. And I love that notion of the fact that we are turning to our children and they're turning to us. And in many cases, there are co-workers at home, that is going to prevent utter destruction. So in a sense, that closeness in the time of so much separation is what we hope will keep us alive. We're now going to open the ark once more and sing Eitz Chaim Hi to symbolically return the Torah to the Aron. Ki lekach tov natati lachem torati al ta'azovu, Eitz Chaim Hi lamachazikim ha v'tompecha me'ushar deracheha darchei noam v'chol netivoteha shalom. Hashivenu Adonai Elecha b'nashua Chadesh Yameinu Chadesh Yameinu Kekedem. The prayer that we be renewed and return to the way things were before. Different, but familiar and the same. And now it's a great pleasure to invite someone who I have known and worked with since my first day here at Hillel B'nai Torah, Claudia Harris, who took responsibility for running the Chaverim school, which is part of the renewal that the Havurah brought to us. And in fact, she received a Keter Shem Tov award from the Bureau of Jewish Education for the work she did to help found our Hebrew school, which today is thriving, even with online learning and all kinds of activities for kids of all ages, from the babies up to our high school kids. So Claudia, people want to put her on speaker view. I'm going to step out so I can watch.
But I'm going to keep you all on gallery view so I can see you all. So, a bridge, gesher in Hebrew. Really, any bridge gets you from where you are to where you're going, whether it's the blue-lit Zakim Bridge or a narrow log across a stream. My story begins with one end of a new bridge, the kitchen table in Madeline Brunitsky's kitchen in 1985, where she sat with 3 other women, Carol Nesson, hi Carol, Andrea Taft, I think Andrea's husband, Alan Gordon, is with us today, and Maxine Sorokin. New to this area, Madeline said to the others, there must be some other young Jewish families in West Roxbury. I hear you, Madeline. Madeline is a born creator. If you know her, you won't be surprised to hear she told Donna Shuyan, another young mother, you're going to stay in West Roxbury. You're going to send your kids to the Schechter Day School. You're going to carpool with me. Yep. Those 4 ladies enlisted others to help plaster the town with flyers for a meeting in the community room at the West Roxbury Police Station. 35 people came and formed the second piece of this new bridge. They named it the West Roxbury Havurah, which means a group of friends, for social get-togethers for Jewish holidays and meals. The next bridge parts, not particularly spiritual in intent. You might ask, why didn't they just head over to Temple Hillel B'nai Torah? They knew it was here, but they also knew that it was a withering, maybe even collapsing structure. Like so many other synagogues whose younger folks had moved ever further out into the suburbs, they wanted something funky, friendly, and fun. Now, I've heard 2 versions of the making of the next bridge piece. Harold Gordon, who was then the older president of HBT, proudly told me he had heard of the Havurah and he invited them not only to meet at the temple, but also offered a year's free membership. Madeline told me the Havurah asked to meet in the social hall and for that membership, beginning that bridge to the temple, but also staying a lively group that had Hanukkah parties, a family retreat at Camp Yavne, where I first met Sue Dorfman, and events to bridge in more new people. I was one of those new folks. My first memory of the Havurah was in 1992, dancing a wild hora in the lobby at Purim and inhaling Hamantaschen. Madeline had had the Havurah apply for a synagogue council grant, which they called Gesher. Gesher invited newcomers to Havurah members' sukkahs, and I went with my 2-year-old to a gathering in Nancy and Steve Kellerman's lovely backyard sukkah just a block from me in Roslindale. Oh yeah, I knew there was a temple nearby, but that it was conservadox and the services were all in Hebrew.
Right.
Definitely not for me, who had recently discovered the joy of non-rote Judaism in the Jewish renewal movement. So the Havurah was my side door into this temple, a personal bridge for me and many others. The Havurah then began Sunday Fun Days to weave in some family education to holiday celebrations. Toby Pugh ran the first one on welcoming Shabbat. And my family used her cardboard handout of Shabbat blessings for many years of candle lighting. It got sort of worn out. I soon began my own organizing here, learning from Madeline that if you want something to happen in the Havurah, make it happen. No one will stop you, and no one will do it for you. Go for it. Sue Guzmick and I began co-coordinating more and more Sunday Fun Days. One Sukkot afternoon, after planting bulbs and having a potluck outside to respect kashrut inside the temple, we headed off to Allendale Farm for a hayride. Late. They'd almost given up on us. Yikes. By now, that Havurah bridging began to extend into the temple leadership. A young Havurah member, Lenny Markowitz, became president after middle-aged President Marv Rosencrantz had reached out even more. But even though the temple was no longer in imminent danger of collapsing financially, there was one heck of a huge gap. No Hebrew school. HBT had closed theirs years before due to a lack of children and shekels. So the choice was now either to enroll in Jewish day schools or to tuition into another temple's Hebrew school. Neither was an option for me, being in an interfaith marriage where I promised my husband not to send our children to Hebrew school, so long as he promised they would be raised as Jews. However, I now wanted something more than Sunday Fun Days, more than Hamantashen and Purim costumes. So the Havurah, being the incubator, built the next span to bridge that crucial gap. Sam Schneiderman named it the Havarim School. And Susan Harris, no relation, a Havurah member and Jewish educator, agreed to run it. And she then promptly moved to Florida. I, who had never administered or educated a soul, backed into coordinating the school for its first 3 years with crucial support from Sandy Circus, David Ween, Beth Mayer, and others. Our wonderful, brand new, she didn't know this was happening, spiritual leader, Rabbi Barbara Pensner, along with the teacher of that first class in 1995, did the curriculum. The second year, we offered 2 classes, and the third year, 5. Time for the next link. George Cohen and I co-chaired a huge group effort to write a proposal for the temple itself to take over the Havarim school from the Havurah, so long as it was self-funding and no danger to temple finances, and to hire a professional to direct it. HBT nervously, courageously agreed to our proposal. By that time, I was the head of the Havurah and running HBT adult education while keeping a hand in with the running of the Havarim school. One day, I looked around and realized we side door Havurah entrance had become completely integrated into a reconstructionist Hamish temple. We were home. The temple now had the holiday parties, a wonderful learner's minion with Susanna Sirkin. Susanna, that was so important to me. Participatory services for toddlers, teens, and adults, Cape Cod family retreats. We had become the temple. The bridge was complete. It was a poignant experience for me as I arranged for the last of the Havurah bank account to be transferred to the temple, just as the HBT sisterhood had done before us when it came to an end. Truly, door le door, generation to generation. Oh God, I'm going to start crying, guys. So as I look at the arc of my life, I realize I am a very different person than I would have been without the West Roxbury Temple Hillel B'nai Torah Havurah. In fact, I wouldn't be here at all, as the Havurah did save this temple. Could those 4 women at Madeline's kitchen table have foreseen where their bridge building would go? No, but I'm so grateful to them and to all the Havurah bridge builders in this community. So during the schmooze time after this service, I invite you to either share a memory of the Havurah or how your life is different because our temple is here, alive and lively. Now to wrap up, I ask Rabbi Pensner, 35 years after that kitchen meeting, to sing a bridge song that's especially meaningful to me in this tough time where we can see each other, but not yet where we're bridging to. It goes, Kol ha'olam kulo, all the world, all of it. Gesher, Tsar Ma'od, is a very narrow bridge. Kol ha'ikar, all that is required of us, lo lahitpa'ed, is not to overwhelm us ourselves with fear. Rabbi?
Yeshkoach, Claudia. So we all know this song is Kol Ha'olam Kulo, Gesher Tzar Ma'od, V'ha'ikar Lo Lafached Klal. But it's misunderstood. That's not what Reb Nachman said. Reb Nachman actually said, Da, Adam Tzarich La'avor Gesher Tzar Ma'od. Know that every human crosses over a very narrow bridge. Klal v'ha'ikar, what's essential, key word today, lo lahit pached klal, is not to let fear overwhelm you. So I want to show this one version of the quote with the Hebrew, and we'll sing. Kol ha'olam kulo gesher tzar ma'od, gesher tzar ma'od, Gesher tzar ma'od, kol ha'olam kulo. Gesher tzar ma'od, gesher tzar ma'od. V'ha'ikar, lo lefached klal. V'ha'ikar, Lo lefached klal. Thank you, Claudia, for tying together the past and the present, and for being present with us for this celebration. I'm going to invite Sue Dorfman, coming all the way from Washington, D.C., to share with us our final reading, a poem by Marge Piercy, The Seven of Pentacles.
Okay, let me unmute myself. The Seven of Pentacles by Marge Piercy. Under a sky the color of pea soup, she is looking at her work growing away there, actively, thickly like grapevines or pole beans, as things grow in the real world, slowly enough. If you tend them properly, if you mulch, if you water, if you provide birds that eat insects a home and winter food, if the sun shines and you pick off caterpillars, if the praying mantis comes and the ladybugs and the bees, then the plants flourish, but at their own internal clock. Connections are made slowly. Sometimes they grow underground. You cannot tell always by looking what is happening. More than half the tree is spread out in the soil below your feet. Penetrate quietly as the earthworm that blows no trumpet. Fight persistently as the creeper that brings down the tree. Spread like the squash plant that overruns the garden gnaw in the dark, and use the sun to make sugar. Weave real life connections, create real nodes, build real houses. Live a life you can endure. Make love that is loving. Keep tangling and interweaving and taking more in, a thicket and bramble wilderness to the outside, but to us, interconnected with rabbit runs and burrows and lairs. Live as if you liked yourself, and it may happen. Reach out, keep reaching out, keep bringing in. This is how we are going to live for a long time, not always. For every gardener knows that after the digging, after the planting, after the long season and tending and growth, the harvest comes.
Oh, Sue, thank you so much. Thank you for being with us. So this is our harvest. And here we are today in 2020. And just have a sense of what that planting has created. I'm going to invite our president, Jocelyn Gordon, to take her place and give us announcements of a few things that are happening here.
Thank you so much, Rabbi. Welcome everyone to Havurah Shabbat, the second in a series of anniversary year Shabbat experiences. It is so good to see all of you here and be able to celebrate together in this challenging time the important contributions of the Havurah and each of the Havurah's members to our current HBT community. On behalf of all of us, thank you for your years of friendship and contributions to all four core principles of HBT's communal life: Havurah, community, tikkun olam, social justice, Torah, learning, and avodah, worship. Havurim School is continuing on Sunday for all ages. The students will be preparing for Passover. Watch your email for a link to the regular Monday moment for Mariv with the rabbi. Seder resources are available on our website and went out in an email yesterday to help you plan your in-home or Zoom Seder. There are Haggadot here at the building available for you to borrow.
Here.
Join the rabbi for a second night, thank you, Rabbi, Community Seder on Thursday evening, April 9th, starting at 6:30 and running for about an hour. No meal will be served, but we will have plenty of food for thought. And we will hold a Zoom service next Shabbat for Chol HaMoed Pesach from 10 to 11:30. Information will be sent out at the beginning of the week. The rabbi will be selling chametz again this year on Wednesday morning, April 8th. The sale will be virtual and just as valid. If you would like to sell your chametz, please send an email to Rabbi Pensner. We are honored to recognize Rabbi Pensner's 25 years of vision and leadership at HBT. And even though we had to postpone the in-person celebration on May 2nd, we will hold a virtual event in early June on a date to be determined shortly. Our spring fundraising focuses on raising critical funds for all the temple's work in honor of the rabbi's tremendous leadership, now more than ever. Watch for more details via email and phone. And Shabbat Shalom to all of you. It's so great again to see you.
Thank you, Jocelyn, and we wish you well.
Thank you.
Just to emphasize the point, I usually lead my Seder with this Haggadah, A Night of Questions. I have 20 hard copies. So we're going to send out a link if you're joining us for the community Seder or you want it for your Seder. They are here in this building to borrow. So anyone, just let us know if you want to borrow real books to use. And now, turning to Aleinu, I invite you once again to rise. עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה לייצר בראשית, שנתן לנו תורת אמת, וחיי עולם נתן לנו. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ככתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ. ביום ההוא, יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד. We'll turn to Kaddish Yatom, and I've studied the halachic sources, and people are saying Kaddish virtually. I guarantee we have a minyan in our midst. As we consider the coming week, people who have had losses will be remembering Saul Steinman, Robert Edelstein, Mitchell Leskin, Elliot Lester Goldberg, Frida Katz-Wolofsky, Rose Letourneau, Noah Shoham Eliel, and Charles Phillips. Is there anyone who would like to say a name of someone that you are saying Kaddish for today? Please unmute and share the name and who they are to you.
Osborne Ellis, my father, who died in October.
Sidney Stoller, who died April 4th.
So for all those saying Kaddish, we embrace you from afar, and we will make the appropriate responses. Please feel free to unmute everyone so that the mourners can hear your responses. Mourners, if you choose to stand and say Kaddish with us. Yitkadal, Yitkadash, Shemei Rabbah,
Amen.
Yoma, Divra, Firte, Yamlich Malchute, V'chayekon, U'yomechon, V'yei Dechol Yisrael, V'agala, U'izman, Kariv, Imru,
Amen.
Yitbarach, Yishtabach, Yitar, Yitruham, Yitnaseh, Yitadar, Yitaleh, Yitalal, Shmei Dekudisha, Brechu, La'ela, Mikol, Birchata, Shirata, Tushbuchata, Kadechamata, Damiran, Delma, Imru, Amen. Yehesh, Lama, Rabba, Min Shemaya, V'chaim Aleinu ve'al Kol Yisrael v'Yimaru.
Amen.
Oseh Shalom v'Ramav. U'ya'aseh Shalom Aleinu ve'al Kol Yisrael ve'al Kol Yoshvei Tevel v'Yimaru.
Amen.
May we all find sources of comfort and peace in our time of sorrow and fear. We're going to close with Adon Olam, as always, and then we're going to have an opportunity for schmoozing, and I'm going to see about breaking us into breakout rooms so that people can actually talk to each other without waiting for for everyone else. So that we're going to work on that when we finish Adon Olam. Adon Olam, in honor of the Havurah and our 60s mentality, we're going to be singing it to the tune of Ripple. And don't worry, if you don't know that Grateful Dead song, it's fairly easy to catch on. It might be good to mute most of us, though, because it's really hard to follow when everyone's singing. Adon Olam, Asher Malach, B'terem Kol Yetzir Nivra La'et Nasa, B'chetzo Kol Azai Melech Shemo Nikra ואחרי ככלות הכל, לבדו ימלוך נורא, והוא היה, והוא הווה, והוא יהיה, ותפארה, והוא אחד, ואין שני, להמשיל לו, להכבירה בלי ראשית, בלי תכלית, ולא העוז, בהמשרה, והוא אלי, וחי גואלי, בצור חבלי, בעת צרה, והוא ניסי, ומנוס לי, מנת כוסי, ביומטרה בידו, אף כי רוחי, בעת אישן ואירה, ואם רוחי גביעתי, אדוני לי, ולא אירא. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shalom.
Go back to
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shalom.
Shabbat
Shalom.
shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Emily, if you would put us back, take away the screen sharing.
And a Guten Shabbos.
Please. And I've missed 93 things in the chat. That's quite wonderful. Good for you. See, all the things you couldn't do in the shul, you can do today.